Good morning. Happy Monday. It is Monday when I'm filming this. When I do our weekly collective messages, I do film them early on Monday morning or later-ish on Sunday because to me, the week starts on Monday. Sunday is still for that lazy energy, that reflective energy. I really think the week starts on Monday, goes through to Sunday. I actually really like Monday mornings. They feel really fresh and exciting. The week hasn't really set in yet, So I actually really like Monday mornings. And the thing that I want to talk about for a collective message, we'll pull some cards, but the thing that I want to talk about first is something that I've been dealing with myself. And I think a lot of us deal with it at different times. I've dealt with it many times over. I'll deal with it many times again, right? But I've been thinking about it quite a bit as we have passed in book. I study the Celtic traditions as closely as I can. I'm still learning. I've only been studying for about 2 years, so fresh and new. But I follow the Celtic traditions primarily. And so we've passed in book, which was February 1st. And that is when that's Bridget's holiday, she's coming to essentially put the seeds down for the earth, right? She shoots her arrow and she lays all the seeds. That's a very condensed, very simplistic way of putting it. But that is Bridget's holiday. And then we are coming up on the spring equinox soon this month, which I am so excited about. The spring equinox and the eclipse, they happen kind of back to back. Those are very important to me in the spring. I typically have a big spiritual event within myself during those times. So I had these visions in the last one that have really set me on a different trajectory in this past year. But anyway, so the message that I really want to talk about this week is to take a step back and stop muscling through. Stop white knuckling through because you think you need to, or you think you should, or you're scared or guilty or feel shame about letting something go that feels like it's a part of your identity, right? So I'll give my example. I usually wake up most days of the week at 5:30 and go to the gym. I am determined to be extremely strong. I want to take out a house, that is my goal. And I have been involved in fitness, I don't even know, since a teenager, right? I played sports and whatever. So it's just always been a part of my life in some way, and it's taken multiple iterations over time. But recently, it is me waking up at 5:30, going to the gym, having a lift, and then, coming home. And lately, that has not felt good. I have been noticing there's been other things happening, other things going on, and usually my gym time in the morning is my time. It makes me so happy and it makes me feel set up for the day. But recently I haven't been able to sleep as well. I wasn't eating as well, and my gym time felt like a chore. It felt so draining. But a big part of my identity is attached to being somebody who lifts, who is strong in that way, who goes to the gym, right? And I don't really have time, nor it's not that, actually, let me rephrase. It's not that I don't have time, it's that I don't want to have time to go in the evening, for example. I can't do anything in the evening. I'm a morning person, which is crazy to me to say, but I'm a morning person. By the late afternoon, evening, I'm trying to relax, So I really had to let go of what I perceived almost to be a piece of my identity. And I switched it up recently where I'm doing some workouts at home. I'm making sure I'm getting my steps in. I'm doing a run when it feels good. And that has really changed how I feel in my body, how I feel About myself, I've been getting way more sleep, and the nourishment in terms of like the foods that I'm eating and everything has just kind of naturally followed as I'm getting good sleep. Now that it's sunnier here in North Carolina, I'm getting sun outside. So it just took that white knuckling piece out of it, and I had to deal with the like almost guilt and shame of being like, well, I'm somebody who gets up that early. I can do it. I love going to the gym. I love being there. Like, people are going to notice that I'm not there, which is like silly. They might, but why is that my problem? I need to do what works for me. And right now in this season, this is what's working for me. And it's difficult too because I'm not obviously lifting as much as I normally do at my house. I don't have that type of setup. So I've been having to struggle with, am I not going to be as strong? I have kind of an aesthetic goal right now. Am I going to achieve my aesthetic goal this way? But not even slowing down, just transmuting that energy. We talk about that a lot in the spiritual space. Simply transmuting that energy has made a huge, huge difference. Not only, well, honestly, in just my quality of life, really. And I don't know if it'll stay this way forever, but it's feeling great right now. So it's so difficult though to like work through that identity ping, right? It's like a flick or a ping. It's like a piece of pebble hitting your identity armor. You know what I mean? And you're like, oh my God, is this gonna pierce through? And if it pierces through, like, who am I? But we can change. We can change. We can go through seasons. We can do different things. That's what's so cool about being humans. And I think women too, like, we have this weird desire to try everything, you know? So just embrace that. And if you're finding that you're holding on to something like so tightly, like that's what I mean by white knuckling, you're holding on to something so tightly because you have built your identity around it, or you just can't imagine letting it go right now, but it's not serving you and it's draining you. I just want you to really think about that as we go into spring, as we go into this time where we're really like growing, right? Spring is a time of rapid growth, but in the most amazing way. All the greenery comes out, the flowers come out. We have the storms and the rain really nourishing. So it is a great time to really think about what you maybe held on to too tightly over the winter time, or maybe things that are just not serving you now that we can let go as we go into this really amazing season of growth. So that is my collective message for this week, but let's see what the cards have to say. Let's use this deck here. See what she has to say. With her artwork, I don't know if we'll be able to show all of her cards, but her and I have been working together much more often lately. So let's see if she would like to do a collective message for us. So let's see. We also just had the new moon in Aries yesterday, and I believe it was a void moon. So I'm feeling a little, not out of sorts, but just I was going to bed last night and I just had a lot of questions for myself that I wrote down in my notes app, but I just had a lot of questions for myself that I hadn't really considered, or, you know, things that were dredged back up that I haven't thought of in a while. So anyway, what is our collective message from the tarot this week? This deck just loves a Five of Wands. Okay, if this deck is not throwing out a Five of Wands, I no longer exist. Okay, so let's see what we have here. Interesting. Okay, perfect. I love when my intuitive feelings just like align. Okay, so first and foremost, I'm gonna have to cover up parts of this deck for sure. Actually, maybe just this card, but let me cover her up here. So we have the Devil coming out first. So again, thinking about things that are no longer serving us. The Devil, it can be a couple different things, of course, but it's like, what are we, in my opinion, what are we ignoring The Hangman comes out next. So what do we need a new perspective on is the devil distracting us from what we really need to look at, right? Because the devil is fun, and it's our vices, it's the things that keep us a little numb, but also a lot of feeling. And that sounds, I know, really counterintuitive, but it's like if you're going to a club and you're dancing and having fun, and maybe you're taking some stuff, you're taking some stuff and you're having a great time, and there's nothing wrong with that necessarily. But if you have like deep things that you really need to deal with, something like that can totally distract you and put you in a completely different body space than actually dealing with what's going on, because you're dancing, you're having things, right? It's a completely different bodily mental sensation than doing that like shadow work, for example, right? I really like the devil coming out. I always think of the devil as Elizabeth Hurley in the movie, I think it's called Bejeweled. I think it's called Bejeweled. Maybe Bewitched. It's one of those. But Elizabeth Hurley is the devil in that movie, and it's so good. It's with Brendan Fraser. It's such a good movie. But the Hangman's coming out. It's like we really need a different perspective, and we need to switch up how we're doing things. So this hanged man is a trapeze artist, right? So we need to really like flip ourselves around, like hang off the couch with our head upside down. I was just doing that yesterday randomly, like talking to my wife, like, did you ever, try to walk on the ceiling as a kid, whatever. Switch up your perspective in some way, go somewhere new, try something new, go to a different place, whatever it is, right? But just try to switch up your perspective. And the Six of Cups is here. The Six of Cups can be a card of nostalgia, of, returning to childhood. So in this context here, it really is saying to me, put that playfulness back in, right? But since we have the devil, again, I gotta cover this little lady up here, but since we have the devil, it's saying to like be really careful about how you're choosing to go about this, because there's a huge difference in doing all these things to become numb to something and really having something like nourish and feed your soul, And we get down here. Okay, so we have the Ten of Wands coming out. So again, really talking about what is overburdening us, what is too much for us right now. What are we carrying that's too much? What I kind of like about this Ten of Wands, I am a reader who I want to say relies on the artwork quite a bit, because I feel drawn to using certain decks when I'm reading. So to me, that is telling me that the artwork itself is going to have a piece of the message. So in this case, the Ten of Wands, they are like magic wands, right? And this is a card about being overburdened, not being able to carry everything. So we can see these hands here. There's a little bit of like blood coming out. It's too much, almost, the energy. They're not able to control it all. But what's kind of cool about this card to me right now is we have 10 magic wands. Like, how sick is that? I feel like that would be a lot of energy to be able to use. So maybe it's a little too overwhelming right now. But again, if we're able to really think about what we can put down, maybe pick up later, switch things. We didn't say alchemize, we said transmute, but now I'm going to say alchemize, right? Because we have some magic wands. How can we do that? We have 10 magic wands. How sick is that, So we don't need to hold on to them all at the same time. We don't need to try to use them all at the same time. But it seems like we have the resources that we need. That's kind of how I read the Magician as well, right? Like, we have it. We just need to get a clearer idea, because right now we're just a little numb to it, right? So I love that. I love that. The Ace of Cups is coming in. Beautiful. beautiful Ace of Cups. A it's reading back to the Six of Cups with me. I see the Ace of Cups as just like an explosion of energy, an explosion of joy, a very obvious, like, this is an incredible moment, right? That's what I feel like the Ace of Cups. It's just harmony, joy, frolicking through a field. Like, I love the Ace of Cups. And it's also clarity, because the Eye is here too. It is a moment of clarity. So again, as we're thinking about what we're putting down, what we're white knuckling, when we have that moment of joy, that's really going to tell us what, if we did the right thing, right? If we did the right thing. The Emperor is coming out here, the Four of Wands, the Five of Wands. To be honest, so the Four of Wands is not typically like, the Four of Wands is typically honestly a great card, a card you might want to see. But when we see it here, we see the moth and the flame, right? And the moth is on fire. So I'm reading this again just because I felt the message that we need to share. And the Five of Wands here, this deck loves this Five of Wands, but you can see here that we are fighting with something, with someone, and we're injuring ourselves in the process. So not only are the arrows hitting the snake, I mean, maybe we are the snake, but it's hurting ourselves as much as it's hurting the other person here. So, and that's the same with the Four of Wands. It's this energy, right? It's the fire energy. Wands is always fire energy, but it's harming us. We're on fire in the process here. And the Emperor coming in the middle of that is funny because the new moon was in Aries. So very interesting. But because the Emperor is in the middle here, I'm almost thinking we need to abandon his practice a little bit. I think he's a little too stern. I think he's a little too strict. I think he's a little too, not tunnel vision, because I don't think the Emperor is really tunnel vision, but I think he has a way of getting to a goal that maybe isn't what we need right now. The Emperor would be someone to white knuckle something. He would be somebody to push through. And since the Emperor, again, Aries fire energy, is flanked by fire energy that's not serving us right now. Again, we're on fire and we're harming ourselves as much as what we're fighting against. It feels like we really need to, I'm hearing like productivity culture, you know? We need to not be so concerned with being so productive all the time, our output all the time, the effort, the energy. We need to flow a little bit more, right? We need to flow a little bit more when we have that different perspective. It feels like we really need to not abandon the Emperor in us, but that obsession with productivity and whatever that means to you, that is just not working for us right now. So that is our message for the week. I think because like the Six of Cups is coming out in this way and the Hanged Man with the trapeze, like, try to have some fun this week. Try something new. Try some trapeze if you have that available to you, or like the aerial stuff with the ribbons and things. I think that would be something that would be really cool. But just try something new, try something playful, add something new into your routine that maybe you wouldn't have thought of before. Something that is just like silly and is for laughs and out of your comfort zone. And I think that could be something that jogs that moment of clarity, of joy, a spark of inspiration. I think that could be something that is very cool this week. So let me know how your week goes. I'm very excited. I think we keep moving as a collective. I think we keep moving towards this space of joy, of playfulness, of returning to self, the messages seem like we just keep getting closer and closer. So I'm very excited to see what next week's message holds for us. So I will see you guys then. You can always catch me on TikTok as well during the week. If you want these messages delivered straight to your inbox, go to my website and just sign up for the email. It will come right to your inbox. But otherwise, thank you guys for hanging out with me. I will see you next week.